So you guys know that the original Chinatown was over by Union Station, was demolished, right? So part of the reason, one of the questions that you guys asked earlier was, why here? Well, back about 100 years ago, there were laws that said that Asians could only live in this neighborhood, blacks could only live in this neighborhood, Latinos could only live in this neighborhood. So that's why they located here, or what is now Union Station. But in the 1920s, the city decided that they wanted to build the station and basically forcibly evicted and completely demolished the community that was there, to make way for the station. And so residents, again, there were laws as to where they could live and where they could not live. So that's why they moved here. And there were two Chinatowns. There was this one and the China City that was eventually burned down. Part of the reason, like you said, it looks kind of Disneylandish. It's supposed to look authentic, but it's not really. Yeah, this is not at all what real China looks like.
And then on this street, right here on Paramount, go up 2 blocks. That's one of the oldest houses there is in Downey right here too.
Oh yeah, they made it to a museum. I think somebody just moved in recently.
Right here in the corner house,
But they
it's a
cannot-
really old house,
they
and
could
the city
renovate
got
it, they
mad
can't
that people
change
made
the
a big
house.
old deal because they put palm trees, and it's,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to do that because
I
it doesn't
see.
go with the structure of the house.
Yes, it used to be a Johnny Rockets. I think
It was like a
called.
historical landmark, one of the
Oh.
oldest restaurants there was. And they just tore it down. The city made a big old riot about that. The people got mad and all that because it's a historical landmark. So now they made a Big Boys. About Big Boys.
You live in LA, it's basically. I mean, even if you would live in Downey, you'd say you live in LA.
If you want to go out and have fun, you go to Hollywood.
Yeah, you go to Hollywood. You're going to Anaheim, Disneyland area, Universal Studios.
Orange
Everything's
County is
pretty
nice,
local
too.
around here. You're just getting traffic everywhere.
Until 1921, when this house started construction, no one had really taken all of these sort of active ideals of modernism into a house yet. And Rudolf Schindler was studying with the key thinkers in Vienna that were kind of leading architectural thought to that moment. So he was there in the turn of the century. He was a student, like 1909 to 1913. In that time, when he was a student, a big portfolio of Frank Lloyd Wright's drawings had been printed in the U.S. Showing some of his early work in Chicago, and it started circulating around Europe, and all the students were really excited as that came through. Schindler saw it, was enamored with it, and decided he wanted to come to Chicago and work for Frank Lloyd Wright. Came in 1914, had planned to just work with Wright for a little bit and then go back to Vienna. In 1914, World War I breaks out. Schindler's working for a German architectural firm in Chicago, then looking for and trying to get into Wright's office. By the time the U.S. enters the war in 1917, Schindler's sort of an enemy alien in the U.S. He actually can't leave the U.S. and go back to Austria. At the same time, he ends up working with Wright, gets sent to Scottsdale, Arizona, where Wright ran his kind of western U.S. studio called Taliesin West. There, it was kind of, sort of part like graduate school at a time where there was no real graduate school for architecture. It was this sort of deeper theoretical exchange going on, and then also it was just the offices for Wright's projects. Wright was working on a commission in Los Angeles and a commission in Tokyo at the same time. His famous hotel in Tokyo and the house, Barnesdale Park. I don't know if anybody, if you've gotten around there at all, like it's right by Los Feliz in LA. There's a Franklin Wright house in Billable Park. And that was, this is about 1919. Construction starts on both of them at the same time. Wright wants to go to Japan, sends Schindler to Los Angeles to oversee construction of this house in East Hollywood. Schindler comes, builds the house, falls in love with LA, decides he's never going to leave. In designing the house, the kind of main influences, there's a number of them. So a lot of people come and will be like, oh, it's such a Japanese house. It is true. It's very much a Japanese house. And it's also not. I mean, it sort of contorts things. Schindler never went to Japan. He was just in Franklin Wright's office when Wright was building in Japan and had access to a lot of sort of study of Japanese architecture that Wright was doing. But in part it's a Japanese house, and it's a response to, it's sort of his embrace of those aesthetic choices and those principles, which is a lot of European modernism is looking to other parts of the world kind of finally and be like, oh wait, this is actually great. And then it's a campsite. When Schindler was in Arizona, he had then kind of traveled around the West a little bit and spent a month in Yosemite that was really impactful for him. So you have a guy that's born and raised in Vienna in the turn of the century, then comes to Chicago, is kind of dealing with two very urban spaces or something, but then within a couple months finds himself in the middle of Yosemite, and it's like, for a Central European at the time, that's like being shot to the moon. And he's kind of there, and it was just, and in the writing and in talking about it, that was super impactful for him. I kind of never forgot that. They wanted to keep that aesthetic of just being like on a campsite forever at this